Now, for more on this, I'd like to bring in our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, a very good morning to you. It goes without saying that Navalny knew exactly what awaited him. So why would he choose to return?
I think there are several reasons, Sanam, why it's important that Alexei Navalny comes back to Russia. The first one is that he knows that if he stays in Berlin, he will be in a he'll be in a state of security there and well looked after by the German authorities, but he will lose his influence back home in Russia. He needs to be on the ground. He needs to have his supporters around him. He needs to be vocal. He needs to be back on social media, criticizing and trying to pinpoint what he sees as corruption and embezzlement by the Russian authorities. He can only really do that when he's back on Russian soil. Second reason he needs to go back, that is because there are elections coming up later this year before the 20th of September. They are legislative elections. He wants to be back in Russia so he can either contest those elections or make people vote for the candidate who is most likely to cause trouble for the ruling party candidate. And the third reason he wants to be back is because there are presidential elections coming up in 2024. Remember, back in 2018, he was banned from running in those elections. Vladimir Putin was re-elected with 76% of the vote. Alexei Navalny wants to come back to make his voice heard during that election campaign and maybe run himself if he is able to do that. That's far from certain, but that is his main aim, is to criticize the ruling party of Vladimir Putin, and that is why he had to come back to Russia. Now, what's very interesting is after this big fiasco last night where the plane he was coming in on was supposed to land at one airport, then it was taken to another airport, then he was immediately arrested once he got into Moscow at the airport. There now is a court case taking place right now in which it is being discussed what is going to happen to him next. He's in detention. Will he be freed or will he be held in custody until there is a court proceeding due to take place on the 29th of January in which he could face 3.5 years in jail for embezzlement of funds to his own political organisation. So that is all up in the air at the moment. We don't really know what the authorities are going to do with Alexei Navalny.
Indeed, many questions remain. And Vladimir Putin, who you spoke about earlier, has, of course, described Alexei Navalny as a, quote, nobody. But we're looking at these images and the attention that, of course, was given to him on his return, Philip, paints a rather different picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. And I think that, the strategy of the government in Russia is twofold. One is harassment and persecution of Alexei Navalny. They would rather do that than detain him, because detaining him will make him into a martyr figure, make him into an international political prisoner. And they don't want to do that because they want to say that they are abiding by the rule of law in Russia, which allows opposition figures. But they don't like Alexei Navalny because they see him as a threat to the Russian establishment, if you like. So there is the attempt to try to silence him by not allowing him to run in elections, for example, by trying to put him in jail for short times to make him lose support. That is not working. But it's important to know that Alexei Navalny is someone who will not give up the fight. He is determined to carry on. And I think that whereby the establishment is trying to persecute him, the establishment is also trying to say, well, he's not really a threat to us. We don't really take any notice of him. Vladimir Putin won't even pronounce his name when he's asked about him. But the evidence is that the Russian government is very worried about the influence that Alexei Navalny is having and will have, because, as you said, Vladimir Putin is low in the opinion polls, and Alexei Navalny is seen by not only Russians but also the international community as the main contender, the main opposition force against President Vladimir Putin. And we're in a very make or break situation right now, because he's back in the country after this poisoning, which failed on the part of the Russian authorities, who've denied they were ever involved in it in the first place. He's back in the country now, and the Russian authorities don't really know what to do, because they can't try and poison him again. They don't want to make him into an international hero, but they have to try to shut him up because they know he's having influence. So that is the crux of the matter here, and it'd be very interesting to see what happens in the next few hours, whether he's allowed to be set free or whether he he's going to be maintained in detention until this court case on the 29th of January.
Well, Philip, for the time being, it sounds like he will not be shut down. In fact, news just in, Navalny in a video has called his court hearing that you were just speaking about the, quote, highest degree of lawlessness. So, of course, this will continue until we have some more definitive results. Philip Turle, thank you so much for that analysis.